Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So I'm going to paste a link to this presentation and the code here on the chat. So take a look, please. Yeah. And by the way, we will share all these presentations with you. So you can take maybe a picture of this, or just note the URL. This is a link to the presentation. This is about preparing your data using DataPrepKit. So what I would do is I will go through an introduction, DataPrepKit, and also I'm going to show you this as a demo, so you see it firsthand, how it transforms data. All right. Quickly, Dave talked about this. So we are running office hours every Thursday. You guys are in one right now. Please check out our website for future sessions schedule. So we have some very interesting talks coming up in the next few weeks. So definitely sign up, and so you can see. And also, we want this to be useful to you as well, right? So we will be discussing technologies and projects, and also taking questions. So if you have any questions, comments, please bring them to the office hours. All right. By the way, so the toolkit I'm going to talk about is DataPrepKit. It's actually IBM. It used to be an open source project under IBM. Now it's actually donated to Linux Foundation. So there's an announcement just a couple of days ago. Hopefully yesterday. Yeah, just a couple of days ago. So IBM actually announced they are donating these 3 open source projects to Linux Foundation. So they'll be under the governance of Linux Foundation going forward. So yeah, so I mean, open source remains open source, right? So what I want to do in this talk is kind of 2 parts. One is to look at a very high-level overview of DataPrepKit, and then the second part show you some code so you get a feel for it, and you can run this on your own as well. So let's talk about DataPrep. Whenever we are doing machine learning applications, LLM applications, we have to prepare data. Your data could be in different formats, so like PDFs or docs, HTML pages, what have you. You need to extract the data out of all this and make it to a format where we can actually send our data to the models. And for example, let's say you are dealing with documents. You may want to say, you may have duplicate documents. We want to remove them, right? Because duplicate documents just add to our data while really adding anything meaningful to the result. So we want to remove the duplicates. Let's say I have a bunch of PDFs. We want to extract the text data out of PDF, right? Because most of the applications deal in text. And I want to remove markup data. So like if we have bold or emoji, a lot of emojis, I want to remove all those before I can actually send it to my application. And also things like if your document has personal information, like a social security numbers or credit card numbers, we want to scrub those. Actually, our next talk, we will be talking about how to do this, removing personal information from documents. That's next week. So, and if you're dealing with code, we want to, let's say I'm training on some open source code. What if the code has some malware, some virus? We want to detect this and remove that. So things like this, you want to do, right? If you're training your model. And I always joke about this. Data prep is, this to me is never a fun thing to do. This is something we all do because we have to, not because we want to, right? So lucky for us, we have a lot of these tools, open source tools available to help us with this. This is where I like to introduce DataPrepKit. So the way I look at DataPrepKit is like a Swiss Army knife that has all these modules built in. Right? So for example, we talked about extracting text from, say, PDF documents, yeah, and then performing deduplications, cleaning up your text. All of these modules are built into the PrepKit. So we don't have to go and reinvent these. We can just use the modules. It's a Python toolkit. It's open source. As I mentioned, it was open source for a while, but now it's owned by Linux Foundation, right? And you can start from your laptop. If you have a small amount of data, you can just run this on your laptop. And if you have a large amount of data, you can run this on clusters. And I'll show you how. So here's some of the features we talked about, right? So it handles documents and code And these are the modules, for example, right? We can access code quality. We can do duplications. And I'll show you all of these in action when you do our demo. Yeah. And I mentioned you can start on your laptop. So if you have small set of documents, like a few thousand or documents, you can just run this on your laptop. So that's all you need. If your data size, getting into maybe like millions of documents, you can actually run your code on a cluster. So DataPrepKit is designed to scale to clusters. We can either use Ray as a runtime or Spark as a runtime to run it on a cluster. Right? And then some of you may have been using Ray or Spark. They are really nice distributed programs. So basically, they will take your code and run on the cluster. By the way, this DataPrepKit is actually used to train IBM Granite model. So IBM Granite is an open source LLM. So you can imagine this trained on huge amounts of data. So the training data was prepared by DataPrepKit. So when I mention this, because this actually is proven at scale. Yeah. So some of the high-level features. What are some of the features that you wanted to use that can make your life a little easier? Let's talk about documents real quick. So let's say you're handling documents. Your documents could be PDFs, HTML, right? Word documents. Basically, we want to extract the text data out of them. That's the first step. And we do that. We actually do use another open source project called Dockling, which was part of the open source donation. All right, if you saw this earlier. Dockling is a very powerful document parser. So you can basically give any data to any document to Dockling, and Dockling can extract content out of this. It can be PDFs, Word documents, right? Excel sheets. Yeah, it's pretty versatile. It's also pretty powerful. For example, if your data is in tables, you can actually read tables, which is pretty nice, right? So, and also it can, if you're like scan PDFs, you can actually even do OCR. So I talked about this in the last workshop, Dockling and its capabilities. So if you like to, you can always go back and watch the recording. So I've shown you how some of these features you can use using Dockling. Dockling is very easy to get started. You can see, right? Just pip install, and then you can just use it. Right? It's that easy. So we internally use Dockling. I mean, DataPrepKit uses Dockling internally to do the parsing. So here's an example. So let's say I have a PDF document here, and I'm extracting data out. I'm turning it into a markdown data. So you can see, right? Headings are coming as headings, paragraphs, and you can see the bullet points becoming bullet points. I personally like Markdown because to me it's just plain text. At the same time, keeping some formatting, right? So headings, paragraphs, bullet points, those are kept. So which is to me like a pretty nice, nice compromise. Yeah. You can also extract the data into JSON format if you choose to. So JSON gives you a little bit extra metadata, so you can see here, right? So the heading comes in, and they will annotate it with saying, this is subtitle level 1, right? And they will say this is paragraph, and this is list. So if you want more control over your content, you can also do JSON. It gives you a little bit more metadata. So depending on the use case, either you can do JSON or Markdown. Tables. I get asked about this quite a bit. People say, I have PDFs with tables data. How will it handle it? Actually, it handles it very nice. You can see here's the table data I have, and I'm extracting the content, and you can see this becomes a Markdown. Right? Again, plain text. And I sort of display this like a pretty display, like most of the editors will display Markdown data in a nice format. That's it. So you can see the same table in Markdown format. So very, very useful. Also, if you have documents that are kind of like this, like invoices, right? We have all seen those. So it's not like just your typical paragraph, heading paragraph format, right? Invoice has their own format. And again, no problem. It extracts them pretty fine. So you can see, right, my data is extracted. See the line items table here? It becomes a table, like a Markdown table. Okay, very nice. So yeah, so all kind of documents you can throw at it. DataPrepKit can handle it. Remember, we use Dockling underneath, right? So basically, whatever features Dockling has, B also inherit, which is great. This is HTML and HTML to text. So let's say you are processing some website, you want to extract some content, and here's what I'm showing an example, right? So it's an HTML here, and I'm extracting into a markdown, and you can see like it scrubs out all the tags, scripts. You get clean text, which is very nice. Right. So as you are processing the document, as part of the processing, it also remove markups. So if your document has a lot of markups, like bold, like color coding, things like this, they will be removed when we extract text, because a lot of the time we don't need those, and so we actually want clean text, and that's what and it's done by default. Another thing I'm going to quickly talk about is removing duplicates. So let's say I have a bunch of documents. So here I have 4 documents, you see, right? A is, I have duplicate A twice, same content, exact same content duplicate. So B is kind of duplicate, you can see, right? So imagine just 2 documents, only like 1 word is different, or maybe there's an extra blank line or something like this, right? So these are what we call near duplicates. So I'm going to show you how we would deal with this kind of scenario. Let me start with A. Remember, A is identical. So we can remove one A, right, without losing any context. So here, we have a duplicate module. Sorry, I should say dedupe module. And what it does is it goes to the documents, and when they are exact the same, it removes them. Right? So you can see one A has gone. And the way they do that is by doing a hash, computing a hash of the documents. And then if the hash is exactly the same, then the documents are the same, right? So that's how they remove it. Yep. The other one, so now if you sort of go back, right, we have one A removed, but we still have B and B dash. So what is those? So remember, there's only like, imagine a document, you open a document, you hit an enter key, like so, put a new line in it, and then saved it. So identically, the documents are the same, right? There's there's nothing contextually different. But if you just look at the simple hash, they will look like different documents. Because why? There's like one extra new line in it. And we want to remove those two, because they don't really add any value. So the way we have another module, which is basically called fuzzy dedupe, it compares the hashes, and if they are kind of close enough, it'll eliminate one, which is pretty nice. Right? So this is not exact hash. What they do is they kind of try to see how close the documents are together. So if they're nearly identical, they will remove it. And this you can control. There's like a control the threshold you can set to say, right, how lenient or how aggressive you want this to be to eliminate duplicates. So yeah, this is pretty useful feature actually. Yeah. So after deduping, I remember we started with 4 documents, 2 identical, 2 near duplicates. So what we ended up with is just clean data, right? We remove the identical duplicate and the near duplicate. Yeah. So yeah. So let me put these links here. I just have the. So these are the links we are going through. So use the link to the presentation and the code. The other one I like to show is sensitive information. So for example, let's say you have some customer support tickets. Maybe they have their phone number. Maybe somebody left their social security number, things like this. We don't really want them in our data, right? So there's a module actually to remove PII, personally identifiable information, and it'll actually mask your data. So it'll kind of cleanse it, right? So this is actually pretty handy, especially if you're dealing with sensitive documents, like maybe in finance, in healthcare, right? Things like this. You want to be respectful of PII. You don't want to just send them along. Yeah. So another feature we can support out of the box is tagging document with languages. So let's say you have documents in various languages. So you see English, Spanish, and Japanese. So there's a module we use that can actually tag the documents with their languages. So it can automatically detect what language it is and then tag them. So for example, let's say you only want to process Japanese documents, right? So you run through this detector first, and then whatever documents tagged as Japanese, then that's what you process. So yeah, so it's actually pretty handy if you have mixed documents. Another feature they can do is assessing document quality. So imagine you have, let's say you are processing customer support tickets. You have like a support email, and I can guarantee you it has a bunch of spam, right? Just like we do, right? If you look at your inbox, you get plenty of spam. We don't want those, right? We want to eliminate them from our document set. So let's say here I'm showing you two documents. One is just spam, right? Other one, let's say, is a what I call placeholder document or low quality document. What do we mean by that? So let's say somebody created a template, and it really doesn't have real data. It just has some placeholder data like lorem ipsum. This is very common, right? If you do design work, you'll see like a lot of documents created which just no real data, just template data, and we don't need those, right? Because there's nothing useful here. So how do we eliminate them? So there's a module here called document quality. What it does, it'll actually scan the documents, and it can actually tag them or flag them. Like, for example, it can say, oh, this is spam. Or it can tag document B as lorem. Actually, we have a tag called lorem because this is a very common pattern. And then you can say, all right, I don't need these because this is spam. This is just lorem ipsum text. So I'm going to eliminate them. So you can do that. Anyway, so a lot of these processes are very common that we go through. And then, so these modules can actually save you quite a bit of time if you're dealing with this. So another feature we have is called chunking. So imagine if you're doing writing like RAG applications, so right, LLM application, we want to split our documents into chunks, right? So you can see here, here's my document, and I want to split them into sections. The reason we do this is so documents are kind of in a manageable size, and then they're easy to search. And we have a chunking module that does it for you automatically. It's pretty handy. And also another thing you may have done when you do RAG applications is take our chunks and create vectors. So vectors are basically number representations. So remember, this is text, this is numbers, right? So what we do is we take the text data. You can do this for audio, images, any data really. But here we have text data, and we are taking it into embedding set. That's a vector. Why? Because numbers are very fast to search. So it basically turns the text data into numbers, so we can search them very quickly. And we have a module for that too. So everything I've shown you so far, there's a module built in that you can just use. Right? Just works out of the box. So how do we do with code? So very quickly, so far we looked at documents, right? So we looked at things like removing sensitive data, identifying languages, things like that. How do you do, doing code? So let's say you have, code base has multiple code, like Java, C, Python. First thing is you can tag the code, what the type of data you have, right? So you can identify the code language, which is important. So let's say you're only interested in Python code, then you can extract Python code, right? And also we have a feature to eliminate viruses. So let's say you're training on some open source data, some code available online. You have no idea if the code actually has virus. So actually we can scan the code and then eliminate kind of malicious code, right? Because we don't want to train our model with malicious code. Yeah. All right. So let me take a break here for a second and see if we have any questions so far. Just to keep the line clear, we are keeping everybody on mute. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them on the chat window. I will keep an eye on them. Yeah. So let me show you where the
and thanks for sharing the presentation and code in the chat. So everyone, if you're looking for this, the resources, they're in the chat.
Yeah. And I'm going to show you where the code is, and we're going to run the code. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and paste them on the chat window. Yeah. Oh, there was a question about entity recognition. Good question. I have done entity recognition using tools like Spacey, right? If you use Spacey, by the way, so just so everybody's benefit, when I look at entity recognition, so let's say you have a paragraph of text. It may name people, places, right? Or like or things like products. Like for example, it could say Steve Jobs from Apple was in San Francisco or something, right? Just a sample sentence. So in this sentence alone, you see 3 entities: Steve Jobs, person, right? Apple, in this case, Apple is not the fruit, but the company, right? And then San Francisco is a location. So these are called entities. So this is like usually next level processing. When you have text, you want to maybe make sense of the text. Do entity, it's called entity detection. So I'm not aware DataPrepKit has this. So usually what I would recommend is you use a DataPrepKit to extract the text, then run it through somebody like Spacey, which can do this for you. Yeah, that's a good question. So entity detection is very important in natural language processing. So you're trying to make sense of the data. You're trying to figure out, okay, who's mentioned, any places, any products, things like that. Yeah. Great question. Yeah, thank you. Oh, interesting. So I need to check on this one. So the question is, how is prompt injection? Remember, in this case, we are simply extracting documents. I need to check. This is actually a great question. I need to check if the document quality can detect prompt injection. That's actually a good use case. I'll double check on this one. Yeah. Thanks for asking. So the document quality right now can detect a certain certain kind of documents we encountered. But yeah, with the Gen AI now we have prompts can be hidden into the document. So actually this is good. Yeah. That's a great question. Yeah, I'll check on this one. All right, so let me show you some code. So the code is here, right? If you look at your chat window, let me paste this again. Here, I put the link to the presentation and the code. Go ahead and click on the code link. It will bring you to the bring you here, and I'm going to walk you through the code real quick. By the way, you can run this on Colab. But give me a thumbs up if you're able to see this code. So I want to make sure you guys are able to see this. Yeah. Very good. Excellent. So you can actually run this code with Colab. Let me make this a little larger. Right. So I just started running some Colab. I think mine, what's happening? Give me a red. Let me see here. I think mine just timed out or something. All right. My Colab is having some issue, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually walk you through the code. And you can actually run this on Colab on your own. So the way you would run this, you see the link, right? Open. So you're actually here, right? So you're here actually. So the code we are going to run is we are going to extract do some PDF processing. So I have a bunch of PDF documents set up, and I'm going to walk you through the pipeline on how we are doing the process. So you can see the code and see the results. Yeah. And I have two versions. By the way, notice you see two files: PDF processing, Python, and Ray. So the reason this is Python code is designed to run just as a pure Python code, right? It's probably the quickest and easiest to get started with. There's a Ray version. Remember, Ray is designed to run in parallel in a cluster. So if you're not going to use the Ray version right now, I'll just start with the Python version if you're getting started. Ray is something you do if you want to go to the next level, like take it to the clusters. So a lot of people start with Python and then they go to Ray. So let's look at the Python code. Let me click on this one here. And if you want to run this code, you can totally do this. So the way I would do this, like, just simply, open in Colab, just right click, and then say open a new tab. All right. And basically, you can just simply say runtime, run all. I would go ahead and do this. Just go ahead and kick it off, right? And it may take some time to install some dependencies, and that's fine, right? I'll walk you through the code as it's doing it. I'll give a couple of minutes. That's for people to get going on this one. In the meantime, please, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window. Happy to answer. So okay, let me see. Mine is running. So let's see, right? So, but I will go through the code real quick. I'll explain what's going on. So here's a process, right? You can see so think of it like a pipeline. We are going through multiple stages, cleaning up our document. So I'm starting this with plain PDFs, and then I'll walk you through every step explaining, right? So first part, like 1.1, again, just look at the tags here, 1.1. All we are doing here is basically just checking to see if, check my questions, yeah, if you're running on Colab. Because if I'm running on Colab, there are a few things I need to do. For example, I need to install my dependencies, right? Because the Colab runtime doesn't come with the dependencies, so you need to install them. That's it. It just takes a couple of minutes and install this. Yeah. So if you're running this and if your code is kind of seems to be stuck in this step, that's normal. Don't worry. It'll take a couple of minutes for it to install, because sometimes these dependencies pull in a lot of lot of libraries, so it does take some time. So yeah, so just let it go, and once it's done, it'll continue execution. Yeah. So, and that's why we check if we are running on Colab, right? Because I don't want to install this if I'm running locally on my machine, because then my environment would be already set up, and that's it. Yeah. By the way, one thing I want to quickly remind, go back. If you do want to set up a Python environment, which I highly recommend, if you're going to be working on this, right, I would recommend you set up a Python environment. And I highly recommend creating a new environment for this project. And this is something I always recommend people do. When you're starting a new project, just set up a new environment. So here I'm using Anaconda as an example, but you can use plain Python as well, set up a virtual environment. However you guys do it, in Python, you should have a dedicated environment for each project. So this way you don't run into conflicts. Yeah, it's very easy, right? You create an environment, give it a name, and then simply you do pip install. Right? So all the dependencies for the environment is only in that environment. So you're not polluting your other environments. So every project has its own environment. Right? Okay. With that, let me walk you through the code real quick. So step one, we are installing Colab. I'm at step 2 now. So here, right, you can see the output, right? This is running from on my local machine. So it says I'm not running on Colab. Step 2.2, what I'm doing is all I'm doing is just setting up input-output directories. That's it. So you read from here, go through a pipeline, and you can see, I have multiple stages. So that's why there's marked as 0, 1, 0, 2, and so on and so forth. So I know what stage my data is. That's it. Yeah. And I have a couple of utils to read and write some files, download files if I'm running on Colab, things like this. Yeah. So I'll skip those for now. Okay, here's the data. So you can look at the data. These are like simple PDF files. I can actually show you here. It's easy to show you from my right. So I have something, right? And here's my Earth, Earth data. Right. There you go away. Right? Just a one-page PDF documents. Just one example, and you will see I have like a bunch of copies. So Earth and Earth, you can see Earth and Earth copy. They're the exact same thing. They are duplicates, right? And Earth 2, I think there's like only one word that's different, because I want to illustrate how do you remove dedupes, fussy dedupe. And then I have one document with like lorem ipsum text, right? That's all I have, right? And I have like a spam text. You can see, right? So I have a bunch of PDFs. We're going to run it through the pipeline and see, what comes out. All right, let me check this out. And again, all of this data is checked in the GitHub repo, so you can experiment with these. And more importantly, I want you guys to try your own data, right? If you have set up documents, just put them in a directory and read them and see how the program does. So here I'm running on Colab. I'm downloading, but this is my local environment, so I'm not downloading this. So yeah, right. So I'm using the data on my disk. Okay. Step 4 is where we actually start the processing. We are going to extract data from PDF. And you can see here, excuse me, just one line right here, right? Let me explain. Input folder, output folder, right? Pretty self-explanatory. You're saying read from here, right? And I'm asking you to convert to Markdown format, which, like I said, I personally prefer Markdown because to me it's compact, it's easy to understand, it's plain text. So I want all the PDF document to be converted to Markdown format. Yep. And that's it. Right? That's basically my input. And when they do the extraction, remember this is like step one, right? Kind of up here, extracting text. The format they keep the data is Parquet format. So Parquet is a compact format for storing documents, very popular, very efficient. So that's why DataPrepKit uses Parquet for all the intermediate data. So as the data is going through the pipeline, every output of this each stage is in Parquet format. Yeah. So to see this, you'll know why. Okay. So we have done conversion, but remember, my data is in Parquet format. So we are going to display files in Parquet, so actual content. That's why I have this handy utility. Remember, we saw that. If you look at this, okay, these are all the files. You see the file name, contents, and also metadata like number of pages, number of tables, and all that. Also, we can notice like it's calculating the hash also, and we're going to use the hash later to eliminate duplicates. So you can see, right, I have all these documents, lorem ipsum, spam.pdf, earth2.pdf, and you see the contents actually have the content. You can kind of read these here, right? So it's good. So the extraction is complete. But we are not done because we have to still go through, do some cleanup, eliminate duplicates, and all that. So let's see how we do it. So at this stage, I have extracted the document. And you can print out the document, like, for example, I just printed out, just plain markup. Plain markdown, right? Very simple, just plain text. And spam, pre-xxx and lorem ipsum. Yeah. So we extract the content. The next step, I'm going to calculate a hash. So I want to calculate the hash on the contents column because remember we are examining the contents of the document. So I'm telling our DataPrep to say go and compute the hash so we can use it to eliminate duplicates later. And that's it. That's what this step does. You can see like in one line. Yeah. And all we are doing is computing the hash. And if you look at the output, you will see at the end, again, you scroll to the end here, you will see hash computed. You see that? We just computed this. Yeah. And some of you might kind of see, these are duplicate hashes right here, right? You see, and look at the document name, right? Earth and Earth copy. It should be duplicate. It should be the same hash, right? Because they are exactly the duplicate documents. That's it. So we are going to actually use this to eliminate duplicates, and that's the next step. Eliminate duplicates. So again, remember the pipeline. Let me just get this real quick. I'll just show you the pipeline real quick. There you go, right? So we at this step, we just computed the hash. Next step is we are going to remove duplicates. We are going to remove exact duplicates and near duplicates. Remember, right? It's a two-step process. So exact duplicate is pretty simple. I have two copies of Earth and Earth copy. One of them is going to be removed. Again, very simple. Right? We have a module called dedupe, and again, same thing, input output. And I'm saying, look at the hash. We just computed. Remember the hash we just computed, and then look at the hash column and remove everything with the identical hashes. And that's it. It's done. Oh, remember, before we started, we had 6 documents. After, we have 5. So one of them, right? Remember Earth and Earth copy, one of them is gone. So when you look at the output, you will see, you should only see, oh, there you go, right? So Earth.pdf is now eliminated. Earth copy survived. Remember, they're the same document, right? So it doesn't matter which one we keep. So Earth.pdf is gone. Earth copy is here. Okay, good. But remember, we still have a near duplicate, right? Earth2 and Earth, right? We need to kind of, handle those two. And that's the next step. It's called fuzzy dedupe. So fuzzy dedupe is right. It's pretty sophisticated. Remember, it's comparing documents to see how similar they are. And the way you control this is by tweaking this number. So this is called threshold. So threshold, like how similar, like how close you want the documents to be. We want to be like really, really close to be considered the same, or we want to be like even if they're a little further apart, we consider them same, right? That's completely up to us. There's no right or wrong value in this one. It depends on basically the right value is what works for your document. So play with this number a little bit and see which one works. It's between 0 and 1, right? So the default is 0.8, which happens to work for me here. But for you, you may want to dial it up, dial it down, up to you guys. Yeah. So after all this done, you will see when I print out the output, you'll see, right? Inspect the output. See, I will start with 5 and down to 4. Interesting, right? So one of the fuzzy is gone. So let's see. So remember, Earth 2 no longer here, right? So only Earth copy survived this. So this is very good, right? We actually eliminated exact duplicate and near duplicates, which is great. Yeah. Next up, remember we have some spam document. We are going to remove this. So document quality is what we do. So what I'm asking you to say is, we have a document quality plugin. I'm basically asking you to scan through the contents and give me a score. You can see here, right? Very simple. And it's going through this. And the final, if you look at the output, let me sort of scroll down to the right here. You will see there are a bunch of new columns created. These are like metrics for each document. They start with .q. Right. So for example, they are measuring, okay, what's the average word length here? Right. So they compute a lot of metrics. For example, oh, there we go. Here's a lorem ipsum. Remember? So they are trying to figure out, okay, is there any paragraphs here that says lorem ipsum? And you'll see everything is 0 except 1. And you can guess what document that is, right? That's the same, the lorem ipsum document, right? We had. So it gets flagged as saying, yeah, hey, this document has lorem ipsum text in it. Yeah, perfect. Also has bad word. There's a metric for this. You can see, right? Everything else checks negative except for 1, and you can guess what that is, right? So you can see that's probably the spam document. There you go, spam PDF. Doesn't say, hey, this one has bad words. Yeah. So very good. So you can see, and so here's my favorite one. I don't know how you would use this. It measures how many bullet points you have. Like, what's the ratio of bullet points? So, like, for example, if you're sick of PowerPoints that are too many bullet points, maybe you can use this to eliminate PowerPoints with too many bullet points. so you have two documents. This is the number, right? It calculates the ratio. So you can have like a threshold and say, if you have bullet points, above a certain threshold, remove that or whatever. Anyway, this is always fascinating to me because it's kind of like an interesting stat. You don't think about it too much, but yeah, it makes sense, right? Anyway, so you can look at others too. Like, for example, do they have common English words, things like this, right? So anyway, so there are a lot of metrics computed. So we are going to use these metrics and to filter out bad quality documents. In this case, I'm interested in 2, right? Spam and then the lorem ipsum. So let me show you how to eliminate this. That is step 8.3. So basically, I'm saying it's very simple. I'm saying, look, if the document has bad word, throw it out, right? We don't want that. And also, if I'm saying, I only want documents with like no lorem ipsum mention at all. So I'm saying my lorem ipsum ratio should be 0. That's it. So this basically throws away the spam document and the lorem ipsum document. And you can see here, right, I ended up with Mars and Earth. So pretty good, right? If you remember the pipeline, right? We started with, a bunch of documents, went through the process of extracting text, computing hashes, removing duplicates, right? Exact one and a fuzzy one. Then evaluating document quality, and removing documents that that don't meet our needs. So this is a pretty useful and common pipeline to prepare a document for applications, right? So you can see, so you sort of see step by step how every step is computed. And if you look at the code, right, the code is pretty simple, right? It's typically like just one line, and you can, and if you look at the documents, the code, we have linked to the API documentation, so you can check them out. But the default behavior is pretty good. It has sensible defaults, and it does the right thing right out of the box. And you can tweak it any way you like. You can look at the documentation of all these functions, and you can configure them. Yeah. And at the end, right? So I'm ending up with two clean documents. And then we save them, right? That's it. So after the entire pipeline, so imagine, you can imagine, right? I may have started with say 10,000 documents, right? After duplicate, maybe out of 10,000, I only have 8,000, right? And after eliminating quality, maybe I have 7,500. So I started 10,000 documents. I'm ending with like 7,500 documents. The good quality documents, right? So, all right. So hopefully that's a pipeline. You're able to run this. I had some issues with Colab, so I just walk you through the code. Let me stop here for a second and see if you have any questions. Yes, go ahead. There was a hand up. If you don't mind, please type in the question for me. Put in the chat window. I'm happy to answer. Yeah, we are keeping on mute just so the line is clear, please. Go ahead and type your question in the chat window. And in the meantime, let me see what else I need to walk you through.
We did say that if they wanted to, we can unmute them. Does that person still have their hand up?
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, let's see.
Oh, okay. They just typed her question in.
Right. Yeah. So from Hitesh, yeah. So I just run into the same issue too. This step is the install, right? Yeah, I think the same thing. Yeah. So for me, this step is kind of timing out. Let me look at this now. But sometimes they change the libraries. We need to update them. Yeah. So I will post an updated version at the same location. So don't worry. So if your Colab is kind of fading, trying to install this, don't worry, we'll update them. Yeah. So thank you for letting me know, because I just tried it this morning, and because sometimes this step sometimes fail. One thing I would recommend is just if it fails, you can just restart again. Try this, restart and run all, and then sometime it may succeed. Yeah, but if not, let me know. I will take a look at it. Yeah. So to me, a lot of these notebooks we run locally. Let me show you here. Right, because since I work on this regularly, so I have a local environment set up, and basically, right, so I have right, I sort of run them locally on so this is my Visual Code. I run them here. But if you just want to quickly test it out, we recommend Colab. But looks like some Colab is having some issues with installing dependencies. We'll take a look. Could be a temporary issue, or could be something on my end. We'll take a look. Yeah, no worries. Good. Oh yeah. So question from Pascal. Yeah. So I was in your code, you have 100. So 1 is just published. So I was just trying it out. Yeah. So yeah, it's not a big deal. It's pretty much the same. Your code will have 100. So I was just curious. I was just trying out 11. Right. So that's it. So yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, we will actually update. It just came out, so we're going to be updating it to 11 going forward. Yeah. Good question. No. So the question was, do you need admin privileges? No. To run on Colab, you can run as user. When you first run this, they will give you a warning saying, hey, this is not a Google document. That's fine. Right? I mean, this is your personal notebook. Just say run. And also, if you're running on your machine, that's fine. You don't need any special privileges. Yeah, that's fine. Just a regular Python program. Yeah. And if you're curious, let me also show you this. You want to look at other examples, you can go to the DataPrepKit main repo, where you would find examples. There's examples, right? So we're adding a lot of examples here, right? So you said like an agentic workflow added. And also, if you look at the notebooks, you will see a bunch of examples. So the one I'm showcasing you is like PDF processing. I'm going to do another one on how to do RAG on your website. So for example, if you have a website and you want to ask questions on your website, we have a session coming up on that one. So please, sign up for our updates, so you will see one. And things like fine tuning, right? There are a lot of examples available for you, and we will do sessions on these as part of the part of our office hours. So let me put up the office hour website real quick, so this way you can sign up. Yeah. And you can look at these here. And we have sessions from all the past sessions recorded. And you can also go to, like, for example, let's say you want to look at a session. We also link to the recording once it's available. So if you missed any of the sessions or you want to review the past session, you can go to any of these. And also, we also post a link to the slides and the code. So yeah, so if you go here, you will have everything in one spot. Office hours. This one here. But guys, any other questions? Very good. We are coming up on the time. We have 5 minutes left. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and post them. Otherwise, please do sign up for our office hours. We have some exciting sessions coming up in the next few weeks. And we'll hopefully see you then. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you very much, Suji.
Very good. I think we are done. If you have any questions, you can hang back. I'm happy to answer any questions, but we are officially done. But if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to stay back for a few minutes. I can hang around. Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, congratulations to the DataPrepKit team for getting their project accepted by the Linux Foundation. That's really exciting.
That's true.
So
yeah, just happened.
So go
right?
check it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that link is now up. You need to update that link, by the way. I think.
That's true.
And
it's no longer IBM, right? It's
no, I think it's just GitHub.
Yeah.
.com/DataPrepKit, I think.
Yeah, good catch, actually. Yeah, this just happened a couple of days ago. So yeah, I need to go through and update the links. Yeah. By the way, these links will still work if you click on them, right? They will redirect you to the new page. But yeah, good catch. All right, guys. So thank you so much, everybody. We will see you in the next session.